Hello everybody and welcome back to the FPL crypto channel. This is the Game Week 3 review and Game Week 4 watch list. So, how did Game Week 3 go for you guys? 47 points for me, not spectacular but not a disaster either. So I took a -4, did 3 transfers last week. That -4 reduces my 47 total to 43, which is just 1 point below the average for the game week of 44 points. I can't be overly disappointed. It was not an explosive game week by any means. A lot of key players let me down, but I'm not going to be too disheartened either because there's another 35 game weeks to play for and it's still very early days. So in this video, I'm going to do a quick review of my team. I'll look at every individual player and analyze how they got on. After this, then we look at my watch list. So this feature is where I utilize the watch list. It's a little thing that you've got at the bottom of every player profile on the official website where you can add them to a watch list of players that you're keeping an eye on for future transfers. So I've been adding to this watch list for the last 2 game weeks and 2 game weeks. We're going into game week 4 now, so this is the 3rd time I've been adding and removing players. So it's not overly swelled at the moment. There's about 30 players on it, and I like to keep it to around that amount too. Before we go any further, last week in the Game Week 3 watch list video, I asked you guys to come up with some crazy predictions for the game week ahead. And you did not disappoint. There was some big ones in there. A lot of them were like in the line of Bournemouth beating Man City, those kind of ones. But the pick of the bunch, the one that actually came to fruition in its own little way, not fully, but very, very close to being fully true or pretty much spot on. The Rooster Booster commented his crazy prediction was Pukki to carry on his amazing form and score a brace against Chelsea, or Harry Kane to blank against Newcastle. So we all know that Harry Kane got nothing against Newcastle. The shock result of the game week, you would have to say, that 1-0 loss by Spurs at home. Kane got nothing, and Pukki did carry on his amazing form in a way. Didn't get the brace, but he got a goal and assist, which is just at 7 points in FPL terms as opposed to 8 points for 2 goals. Really, really amazing run of form by Pukki. And he don't brandish the word essential around too much, but a lot of people are thinking this guy could be essential for this season in terms of value. 6.9 million now. I think he might go up to 7 million in the next 2 or 3 days, as is his ownership. It's well up to about 30% now. A lot of people going in for Pukki because he has the form. Maybe not the fixtures so much, but he really does have the form. So that was a crazy prediction for Game Week 3. Let me know what your prediction is for Game Week 4. The crazier it is, the better. I actually haven't even thought of mine. I will when I think of one. Pop it in the comments so you can take a look at it. And you guys throw your own ideas in there too. The pick of the bunch, the one that actually comes closest to becoming a reality, I will give a shout out in the next video for Game Week 5. So yeah, get your thinking caps on and come up with some crazy predictions for Game Week 4. Right, let's go on to my team performance for the game week. So 47 points scored, as I said. My transfers for the week were to get in De Bruyne, Laporte, and Jota. I don't know what to say about Jota. It wasn't my best move ever, but the only reason I got him in was because I was priced out of a lot of forwards. I only had 6.5 to spend and I needed to find someone to slot in there. My main core in this team is my 3 City players, which I'm very, very happy to have. Okay, defensive wise, it was a bit of an anomaly this week. There were not many clean sheets. 1, 2, 3 teams kept clean sheets this week, and 2 of those were away from home, that being Southampton and Newcastle. Not many people could have predicted that. It was just a rarity. All the premium defenders did nothing, as well. Maybe a couple of assists here and there, like the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold picked up an assist, but for the most part, very disappointing. So I'll start at the back. Pope was so close to getting those clean sheet points against Wolves. I had 2 players playing in that game. I had Jota and I had Nick Pope. So the result for me was a goal from Jota to wipe out the clean sheet from Pope, or for Burnley to keep a clean sheet away from home. And they reached the 96th minute before they conceded with that Jimenez penalty. So I got only 2 points from Pope, which was a little bit of a letdown because of the fact that it looked so good for so long. Digne then, Everton in general did not impress me going forward. They are lacking attacking threat and firepower up front. So I'm worried now. I mean, defensively they are very solid. That was the first goal that they conceded it was the first goal they conceded all season. So I can't be too disappointed to lose those clean sheets, as was the game week itself. And Digne does look the player this year. He has the best attacking threat out of the Everton defence, and I'm going to be keeping him. Van Dijk then, obviously, Arsenal scored against Liverpool, which a lot of people thought might happen. Van Dijk is always a threat from the air, so I wasn't going to drop him. I played him. Laporte then, I don't know, City were just a little bit unusual for City to be a little bit lackluster in defence. Ederson made a couple of errors early on. They conceded a lot of big chances, and I'm not surprised that they conceded the goal against Bournemouth. I'm just glad it wasn't either of Callum Wilson or Ryan Fraser, who I sold last week. So Laporte didn't get a clean sheet this time, but I'm very happy to own him. Now, here's the 2 budgeters, Montoya and Lundstram. I decided to go 5 at the back last week. It didn't end up being too bad of a decision because none of my bench players actually scored in the end. But Montoya got a yellow card, conceded 2 goals, equals 0 points. Lundstram, a yellow card also, and conceded the 2 goals for 0 points. So that was a huge letdown. I got 0 points from 2 players there. Really, really unfortunate. Well, to be expected. I can't be expecting 4.5 million defenders to be returning FPL points every week. In saying that, Lundstram had a huge chance to score again this week. He missed from inside the 6-yard box against Leicester. So he's 4.12, good value player to have. Sterling then, captaincy decision again. I got it wrong. It was a 50-50 for me between Sterling and Salah. I went with Sterling. He got his return. I can't be overly downhearted about it, because he got his 8 points. He scored his goal in the first half to continue that fine run. He scored in every Premier League game so far. Joint top scorer with 5 with Pukki. But it was Salah that stole the show this weekend with a fantastic display to bounce back from his blank in game week 2. He scored the 2 goals against Arsenal. One was a penalty that he earned himself, stood up and took with real style too. It's always a good penalty when it hits the side net as opposed to the back of the net. So really well placed there. And then he spun David Luiz and scored that amazing goal from just inside his own half, where he ran the pitch and slotted into the left bottom corner. Really, really impressive stuff by Salah. He grabbed the 3 bonus points, which is a rarity for him. He usually scuppers a few big opportunities in a game and doesn't get the full 3. So he got his 15 points. 41%. A lot of people would have sold Salah last week if they were on a wild card, and I couldn't argue with that decision because of that extra 0.9 million or 1 million you could save for Sadio Mane. I think Mane and Salah will share points this year. I don't think you'll get a game week. Well, you will get some game weeks when they'll both get in and around the same, but it could be one or the other, as is the trend early on. Mane got a goal and assist last week. Salah blanked. Mane blanked this week. Salah got some returns. So my way of playing this one is to kind of stick to one asset, which happens to be Salah now for me, and try and hold steady for as long as you can, because it's kind of a lottery who's going to turn up in certain game weeks. I do think Mane is a better goal threat. He's good with crosses and headers, so that can help, because you've got the likes of Trent Alexander feeding in from the right, and then Robertson piling balls in as well from the left. So the wing backs do feed in that way. But Salah's going to get his fair share too of goals, and he's better for assists, as was his record last season, Salah. So that's a debate for a different video, maybe. The Salah-Mane debate, it'll continue on for the season. I think they're both great options. Both great premium options and captaincy choices for your team. Gylfi Sigurdsson, I'm going to have to label Gylfi the villain of the week for me, because I've stuck through him for the first 3 game weeks, expecting returns. He was posting decent underlying stats, which made me think that he was not too far away from getting something. But yeah, this is the end of the road for him. 3 strikes, you're right for me, Siggy. He got nothing for the first 2 game weeks, but showed potential, as I said. And then there was one key moment, one key stat out of what you can see here. 61 minutes. He just about got over the 60-minute mark, which is not a good sign for things to come. He's dropped in price to 7.9 million. He's probably going to drop again to 7.8 before we hit the deadline on Saturday for game week 4. So he is on my chop list. The fixtures still don't look too bad for Everton in general, but they are not producing opportunities up front. They need Moise Keane to start kind of hitting the ground running and start maybe more games, get his fitness back. Calvert-Lewin just isn't cutting it up there, and maybe it will be too to add a bit of flair and attacking threat potential. So yeah, they're a little bit off Everton at the moment. I'm happy to keep Digne because they are still solid at the back, but Guilty Stickers in for 7.9 million. I can't afford to have you in my team anymore. We'll get to that later when I do my transfers or talk about my potential transfers. De Bruyne then was one of the players I brought in. I'm happy to get that assist, even though it was a filthy assist. It was a missed kick that just arrived at Aguero's feet to slot in, but I'll take it. He's got 4 assists for the season so far, and I'm just delighted to have a good core of 3 City players and the 3 most nailed players as we head into this nice fixture run. A home game against Brighton next, and then Norwich away in 5, Watford at home in game week 6. 3 really tasty fixtures for City. Jota then, okay, I got away with benching King because he got nothing against Bournemouth, but it was a toss-up between him and Jota. Diogo he got his 90 minutes. He played midweek, scored a goal in Europa League. I think he was probably the best choice for me, but I have a problem now with this fixture not congestion, but it is congestion. He's going to play in Europa League again next week, but he's playing Everton away and then Chelsea home, which on the FDR scale are difficult fixtures. It's a 4. I'm probably going to have to give him a chance because I brought him in. It would be a total burn of a -4 if I just threw in the towel after 1 game week. So Jota will probably stay for a little while longer. So that's Jota, a disappointing 2 points for him. Then the bench, Dendoncker. Okay, I did have a benching decision here. Play Montoya Lundstrom over King and Dendoncker. Didn't work out too bad. I was on the wrong end of it. 3 points for the 2 guys. Dendoncker didn't start the game, so can't be disappointed there that he didn't start. I probably did make the right decision to start Montoya Lundstrom over the King and Dendoncker. 3 points isn't a huge difference either. So yeah, that's it. 47-point score. Let me know how you guys did for game week 3. It wasn't a high scoring game week by any means. Again, I mean, if you had Pookie in your team, you got those 11 points probably unexpectedly. And then there's some key players too, some trending players that performed well, like for Mason Mounts, who got 10 points. Surprise results though across the board. We'll go through them now when we look at my watch list. So I'm going to get stuck straight into the watch list. What we'll do is we'll go through each fixture individually, and then I'll say who I'm going to add, who's going to remain in the watch list, and who's going to be removed. So Villa against Everton first. I didn't watch all of these games, but the Villa-Everton game I did get to see a good chunk of. And I think Wesley took his goal very well. Confidence is everything for a striker. He's 6 million, which is going to be a good price point for me to look at. So I'm going to have to add Wesley to the watch list now to see how he gets on in the next few fixtures. They look really good for Villa on paper. Palace away. Crystal Palace's home form was notoriously bad last season, so Palace away is a good green FDR fixture. And then West Ham at home. West Ham were a shambles up until this week. They did well this in game week 3, but I wouldn't be overly confident in them to keep clean sheets. So there's 2 good fixtures anyway before Arsenal away, and then Burnley, Norwich, Brighton game week 7, 8, 9. So Villa are ones to look at definitely if they can start continuously producing good performances. And if you're looking at their strikers or midfielders, you want them to score and create too. So Wesley is going in there for 6 million. Going to add him onto the watch list. He's a potential replacement for me when it comes to I have to go into the transfers page to add people to my watch list. So let's go into the transfers page. Then we're going to pull up Wesley from game week 3. There we go. Oh, he's on my watch list. Okay, so Let's go into McGinn then. McGinn's already on my watch list, so he's one who's going to remain. Very impressive stats being posted by John McGinn. He takes a lot of shots. I'm looking at him and Grealish too, so I'm going to add Grealish onto the watch list because of those fixtures, and that he's a good option. He's 6 million, so an extra 0.4, 0.3 on McGinn. He does create more than McGinn, but he doesn't have as many shots in a game as John McGinn, and their average positions on the field are probably around similar. So I'm going to have to kind of look into which one of them is the better one going forward. McGinn has the goal to his name and that assist he got at the end against Everton, the consolation goal. So he's posted more than Grealish, but that's not to say he's the better option in the long run. In terms of remaining on my watch list, then McGinn's already on it, so I'll leave him there. And then I think Heaton's on it too, so I'm going to leave Heaton. He got his clean sheet too. He didn't have too many saves to make in the match, but he still kept the clean sheet for the 4 points. Yeah, so that's it. No one else to add or remove. I'm not really looking at any Everton players at this point. I have Digne and Sigurdsson. I looked to downgrade one of them, so no one to touch for Everton. Looking at Norwich against Chelsea, what a goal fest. As is Norwich's style of play, they are open at the back, but they're going to score too. We kind of knew that from the first 2 games. So Pukki, what can I say? Goal and assist. He is such a great option now. I don't know how I'm going to get him in at the moment without taking a hit. It's not something I like to do, take 2 consecutive hits. He will be in my wildcard team. There's no doubt about that. When I hit the trigger on my wildcard, that might be game week 6 or game week 7. So Pukki is already on the watch list. He's going to stay there. Cantwell, again, I shouted him last week. Great 4.5 million option. He's now 4.7 million. He plays very advanced, and he's going to be starting for the next few weeks. So if you got him in, well done to you. He's going to be a great player. You might not have to play him every week, but he looks good for a while. So Cantwell remains on the watch list, and as a potential player I might bring in on my wild card too when I hit the button. Abraham, then I'm going to add Tammy back onto the watch list. I took him off last week, and the reason being was because he didn't start and Giroud started ahead of him against Leicester, but he scored his 2 goals away to Norwich in game week 3, and he took them incredibly well, and that's got to be a huge confidence booster. Lampard seems to have faith in him. He had a tough start to the season, missing the last penalty in the Super Cup final, and then blanking in the first 2 game weeks. So Tammy is going back on the watch list at 7 million. He's going to rise in price to 7.1 very, very shortly, because a lot of people are feeding into him with his fixtures. And that's why, look at those fixtures. Sheffield United home, Wolves away, game week 4 and 5, and then a nice run from game week 7 onwards. So very much in consideration, these Chelsea assets. Zuma is going to go back on the watch list also. Obviously, I have Christensen and Emerson on the watch list already, and Mason Mount is already there, and he's probably the standout guy in my mind for his price point, 6.2 million. The only thing stopping me getting him in right now is the fact he's got a calf injury. It doesn't seem to be a strain which would put him out for a long term. It seems to be just an impact injury, which means that he might be back in training this week. We have to wait and see on him. But 12 goal attempts in the first 3 game weeks for Mason Mount. That puts him joint top for midfielders. He's the same amount of goal attempts as Raheem Sterling. So he's due to score goals this season. If he continues posting stats like that, he's definitely going to get in the score sheet more. He's playing in behind the strike force for Chelsea and drifting around there. So Sheffield United home, Wolves away, as we said. Really good fixtures for the likes of Mason Mount. Pulisic then is going to remain on the watch list. He hasn't had the luck. He's a little bit of a hot and cold player. I feel like he's going to need a little bit more time to settle into the Premier League, but I'm not going to take him off the watch list for now, because I do like the look of Chelsea's fixtures, and it might only take one good performance to sway him or to sway me to get him in at 7.5. Emerson as well. He's 6 goal attempts in the first 3 game weeks. That's the joint highest out of all the defenders in FPL so far. So Emerson is really knocking on the door to do something one of these weeks. He's on my watch list. He's 5.5 million. He's not going anywhere in terms of price. So who's coming off the watch list then for Chelsea? I'm going to remove 2 Chelsea players and 1 Norwich guy who's been hanging around since game week 1. So for Chelsea, let's just go into my watch list. So for Chelsea, I'm going to take off Ross Barkley. The only reason Ross Barkley started this week was because he there was an injury to Pedro. So Pedro's coming off and Ross Barkley's coming off. I think I've already removed Ross Barkley, so that's why he's not showing up there. Pedro's off, Ross Barkley's off. I just don't feel it with Pedro. He's obviously Lampard likes to give youth a chance, and Pedro has started the first 2 game weeks. He looked good. It's just something about him. I don't want Pedro in my team for 7 million when you can get a Mason Mount for 6.2. So he's off. There's Barkley. He wasn't showing the first time. Okay, that's weird. Anyway, removing from watch list Ross Barkley, and I'm going to take off Steeperman too, 5.5 million. And the reason why Steeperman's coming off is because if I'm going for a Norwich player, it would be Cantwell for that savings of 0.8 million or whatever it is. So there's my preferred options. Brighton versus Southampton. No one's going to be added in here, I don't think. I already have Trossard. He is a great player. He created the most chances in this game, and he looks like he's nailed now. He looks like he's going to be a starter. He didn't start in game week 1. It threw a lot of people off, but he definitely looks good. He's still got very low ownership. He's 6 million. Brighton's fixtures, okay, game week 4 is not one to go there, but onwards then, they look okay. That's the one thing that would turn you off here. But look at game week 9 onwards. Depending on when I hit my wild card, which could be around 6, 7 or 8, I could be considering him. So definitely keeping Trossard on the watch list. Redmond then obviously got his goal. I think he's the most threatening player for Southampton. He's also a midfielder. He dropped in price to 6.4 million because he blanked in the first 2 game weeks, but he got his goal, 10 points against Brighton away, and I think he's one to look at for a little while. 5 and 6 look good fixture wise. There is difficult fixtures always going to be for Southampton. They're not firing at all cylinders yet this season. So the remaining on the watch list is Redmond because of his performance in game week 3, and that's pretty much it. Man United then. Okay, what a shock result, really. They didn't perform very well defensively or offensively, let's be honest. Second consecutive penalty miss by Rashford. I'm still going to add him to the watch list though, because he stole in price, but I still think he's a great option. I also think that Martial is a great option. He got his assist for the goal. Again, he's got a knock. We don't know what the result of that is yet, whether he's going to miss out in game week 4, but he's going to remain on the watch list nonetheless, because I do like the fact that he's an out of position striker and probably he is first choice, let's be fair. United's fixtures don't look too bad either. The one thing that still isn't going on the watch list is the Manchester United defence. I didn't consider Wan-Bissaka or Harry Maguire or anyone else for that matter, because I just wasn't sure about them for the first 2 game weeks. I know a lot of you guys did jump on United defence. That's fair enough. It was always going to be a wait and see for me because they were conceding a lot of chances and didn't look as solid as the game week 1 result may have shone the light on because of that clean sheet against Chelsea. They conceded a lot of chances to Chelsea. So still a problem there for United in defence. I'm going to stay away for now. And that means that none of the defenders are going on my watch list. Let's look at Sheffield United against Leicester then. I did see bits of this game. Baldock, I removed him last week. He's going back on the watch list. He is the wing back. They have an unusual system, Sheffield United. The 2 wing backs get really advanced when they're in possession of the ball. And then they have like overlapping centre backs nearly. O'Connell and the name escapes me, the other centre back. They both kind of go outside of the wing backs and get really, really advanced there when in possession in the final third. So interesting tactic, but it's George Baldock got an assist anyway. He crossed in a ball that McBurney headed in. McBurney came off the bench. Fixtures don't look great, but I'm going to keep looking at him because he's 4.5 million, and as I said, he has that a very advanced position, and so it does interest me along with Enda Stevens, who remains in the watch list too. I'm going to leave Maddison, Soyuncu and Tielemans on the watch list. I think Maddison is the pick of the bunch. He is probably my favourite player for Leicester. Soyuncu then, 4.5 million. He's a gem. He's going to be a gem of a player this season. I think his assist was just lucky. It hit off his head pretty much and ended up. It was a great finish by Harvey Barnes. Don't get me wrong, off the bench, just absolutely went through that ball, unsavable shot. But the Soyuncu assist was a bit of a fluke, let's be honest. Still, great for owner. Anyone who got the 5 points out of him because he didn't get the clean sheet, great, well done. I'm definitely going to look at Soyuncu as an option for my wildcard team. Especially after game week 6, fixtures definitely pick up really, really, really well. They look really sweet for Leicester. So Soyuncu's on the watch list. He's staying there. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that game. Let's look at which one's next? Watford, West Ham. Okay, West Ham, Holler. Holler got us 2 goals. Holler the baller, 7.4 million, dropped in price, and then 2 goals. He was injured in game week 2. That's probably why a lot of people ditched him. He's added to the watch list without a doubt. 2 really good fixtures, game week 4, game week 5 for West Ham, and he's going to be a fixture of this team as well. He's going to be definitely the target man in the West Ham side. So he's in. He's going to be monitored. Nobody else really. I have Lanzini already on the I don't. I'm going to add Lanzini to the watch list. There you go. I think I debated adding him last week, but I didn't in the end. He's going on. 2 assists now, and he looks back to full fitness, and what a great player. Yeah, no arguments putting him on there to keep a look at. Nobody for Watford really interests me. I know that Deulofeu had tons of shots in this game, but he didn't put any of them away, and that's all that matters. No points for him. And Andre Gray is back in contention. Maybe Andre Gray should go on the watch list. He's 5.9 million, so it's good to have a couple of options at around that price. 6 million for Wesley. I don't really think I'll be considering him though. No, I'm going to take him off. He's not on the watch list. How do I take him off? Okay, he remains. By default, Andre Gray remains on the watch list for now. Okay, so Liverpool, Arsenal then. Okay, no one really to kind of add or remove here. I mean, usual suspects. I suppose Alexander-Arnold. No, I've already ditched my Liverpool defenders. I've got Van Dijk and that's it. So I'm not going to consider replacing them for anyone else. Let's put Andy Robertson back in the watch list because he's one that I just didn't want to let go of for obvious reasons. He dropped in price. He's going to drop in price to 6.9 million very shortly because a lot of managers are looking elsewhere. And it's because of the 3 blanks and 3 non-clean sheets in the first 3 game weeks. So fair enough, but I'm going to have to keep an eye on him. He was the top scoring defender last season. And when I hit my wildcard button, I still might be considering him, especially if he drops to 6.9 and people are looking elsewhere. He had 6 goal attempts in the first 3 game weeks, Andrew Robertson. So that is, if you remember, I said Emerson had the joint tops goal attempts. So Andrew Robertson was joint up there with him. The other defender, I think, is Lucas Dean. 6 goal attempts between the 3 of them for the first 3 game weeks. So really, and he had the most penalty area touches too out of any defender in FPL in the first 3 game weeks. 11 penalty area touches. I get all my stats from Fantasy Football Scout, by the way, if you guys are wondering where I'm picking out all these. They're all Opta stats. Bournemouth against Man City then. Everyone remains on the watch list. I'm going to try and speed this up to keep this a little bit shorter. Harry Wilson was on the watch list last week. He was added. He's 6 million and he looks like a great option. He's such a free kick he scored against City to shoot down all our clean sheet hopes, my Laporte clean sheet hopes. Fixtures look okay for Bournemouth. Again, I have him on the watch list. I'll leave him there. I'm not really considering Bournemouth. They scarred me in the first 2 game weeks. I went triple Bournemouth, and it didn't really work out for me. So I'll find it very, very difficult to turn back to one of their assets anytime soon. I still have King as well, so not too bad there. Everyone else remains on the watch list. Obviously, Man City performed really well. Sterling is just a great captaincy option. I think Sterling is going to be the highest scoring FPL player this season. I really do. I think he'll start more games, and he's found that goal scoring touch early in the season. He's already tied top goal scorer with Timu Pukki. So very happy to be an owner, and he's going to shoot up in price, I think, to maybe 12.3, 12.4 very, very soon. Reliable player. De Bruyne too got his assist. He's going to shoot up in price also. It's great. It's good. I'm very happy to have 5 assets from the top 2 teams in the Premier League. I think that's very important to have a core nucleus like that. to kind of just kick on and kind of be fixture proof. Wolves against Burnley then. Oh, hold on, I've skipped a match. Spurs against Newcastle. Okay, so Joe Linton scored. Bit of a shocker for Spurs. Harry Kane was playing more like a defensive midfielder in this game. Eriksen was absent from the team. I think Eriksen's a creative force that they need in their team, and they play differently without him. They're missing that creative spark when he's not on the pitch. And Kane suffered. Unlucky if you captained him. I think he was definitely the best option for this week. Obviously, hindsight's a great thing. Now we know he wasn't. But looking at the fixture and the fact that he had some form from game week 1, I don't know. You were kind of hard done by if you didn't get anything out of Harry Kane this week. Heung-min Son then, he was always going to be a risk reintroduced. He didn't play the first 2 game weeks back from suspension, so it was always a wait and see for me. He's going to stay in a watch list along with Kane because class is permanent and the guys will definitely come good at some stage this season. I have to keep my eyes out for when that might be. Wolves against Burnley, the last game of the game week. Jimenez roomed all those kind of clean sheet points for Nick Pope owners like myself. Ashley Barnes, he is in fine form. 4 goals so far this season. He really has stepped it up a gear this year. He had decent numbers last year, but this is just a whole new level if he can keep it up. He is going to be playing Liverpool at home next. I wouldn't write him off for scoring there the way things are going. But then a great run of fixtures. Look at that actually for Burnley. Looks really decent. Home game against Norwich. They're playing 2 promoted clubs in the next 4 there. So Burnley, without the distraction of Europa League, have started the season really strongly, and Ashley Barnes has been the standout performer in my mind. 8.7% ownership is still quite low. He's not the most glamorous of picks, probably. I don't know why. A lot of the top teams, like your Liverpools, United, your Cities, your Chelseas, people seem to flock for them, and that's fair enough because of their prestige. But 6.6 million for Ashley Barnes is a really good price. Probably going to go up to 6.7. No reason whatsoever for me to remove him from my watch list this week. That pretty much sums it up. I'm going to leave it like that. Maybe I'll add Bowley. Bowley is one to mention here. He didn't get a clean sheet, but he got 2 bonus points, which is a really good sign of things to come. And if you look now, that's 5 bonus points out of a possible 9 in the first 3 game weeks. Really good. And there was only 1 clean sheet there too. So Bowley is going to be added to the watch list as a 5 million defensive option. Okay, so that is that. That is the review. I tried to keep it short, but it was damn right impossible. Let's look at my transfers now, going into my transfer options. I haven't made any transfers yet. Price rises and fluctuations are driving me crazy. I'm going to have to just turn away from it because of so much uncertainty. These 2 guys in particular, Mount and Martial, they're both flagged, so not sure what's going to happen there. It's too risky to bring them in early. Even if it means Sigurdsson drops to 7.8, he's the guy who's going to go for sure. So I could do a straight swap at Martial if I wanted, or I can do a straight swap at Mount, which releases 1.7 million in funds for me to upgrade either King Jota or Dundonker. I would probably be looking at Jota for Pukki because I just can't ignore him anymore. The Pukki party is in full flow, full swing. So I could do that, which means I don't have to worry about price rises. Or I can just keep my -4 going into... stay away from hits, should I say, and keep the 4 points going into international break and just do the Mount transfer, which would set me up nicely for the game week. And there's some problems here that I have. Sigurdsson's 1, Jota's 1, and King's 1. There's 3 players that I really don't want anymore. I'm going to have to give Jota a chance, maybe. It's fair to give him more than 1 game week. I kind of dug my own grave, so, what is it? Make your own bed and lie in it. Some phrase like that. Anyway, I made the decision to bring him in, maybe a little hastily, and now I should at least afford him another game to prove himself for my team. So most likely transfer is going to be Sigurdsson for Mount or Martial. But again, I'm kind of waiting on injury news there. John McGinn's also a name that kind of interests me. Like, there's something I could do is I can do Sigurdsson and then Donker for McGinn and a Mount that also leaves me 0.6 million in the bank for a possible upgrade for Jota or King if they blank again for game week 4. So a few options there. I'm quite happy with my defense and this core midfield of Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne. I'm really, really happy to get that in place. It did cost me a hit last week, but I'm very happy to have it there. Few problems to iron out in the team. Not enough for me to hit that wild card button at this point. I want to hold it in the bank and whip it out maybe game week 6, game week 7 when we have that little bit more data to play with, and also post international break when there might be some injuries and upsets, and maybe sometimes after international breaks team form changes a little bit after the 2-week break. So a lot to be considered and a lot of reasons to hold on to that wild card. If you played it early, you might not have been rewarded last week. You may have set up your team very nicely for the next few game weeks and you won't be having the problems that I have this game week. So fair play. Each to their own. You can play it anytime you want. It's there to be used when you're not happy or satisfied with your team setup as a whole. For the moment, I don't have as many fires to put out as a lot of others might have. So happy to hold for the moment. So let's just ignore these transfers for the moment and look at my setup, how I'm going to shape my team and who I'm going to bench for the game week. So I'm looking at Pope, Digne, Van Dijk, Laporte and Lundstram in midfield. Now, Montoya is probably not going to be my first sub because of that tough fixture against City. I expect Brighton to score to concede at least 2 goals. Sterling is going to be my captain at home to Brighton. I'm fairly sure about that one unless there's some serious breaking news late in the day. Sigurdsson's he's not going to be on my team, so we can imagine a Mason Mount or Martial in there in place of him. De Bruyne then, happy enough, and then Jota and King. Okay, if I take a hit, this could be a Pookie in here for Jota. It might be a Tammy Abraham in there for Jota if I choose McGinn instead of Sigurdsson. There's a lot of options there. I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. There's a lot that's dependent on. If you have any suggestions for my transfers, don't be shy. Please pop them in the comment section because I'm all ears. I like to gather all opinions before making decisions and try and make the right one. But this transfer is going to be made late in the day when I have as much information as possible to work on. The mini league then, the mini league is still open. I'm going to close it after this game week. So this is your last opportunity to join the FPL Crypto 6 Picks mini league. There's about 2,000 managers in there at the moment. The code is CUUY35. I'll put it on the screen now for you guys to check out. The leading manager is Asmiu Jallo, Devils of Asmiu, 232 points. That's a smashing score. He played his wild card last week. And he's got no surprise to see Pookie there. Very unfortunate with that Rashford penalty, missed 2 for 0 points. Good stuff. 61 points puts you in an overall rank in the top 1,000 managers. So very, very good. Keep it up. Really well played. Early in the season, so I'm happy to have all my chips in place on my wild card. Look at that team value, 100.9 pretty much when you add in the bank. So great stuff there. Okay, so last chance then for the FPL Crypto 6 Picks League. I'm closing it off after this game week for interest of fairness for other managers that have joined earlier. So that's it. I'll post my team and transfers somewhere on YouTube, whether that be a video or on the community page before the game week 4 deadline. That deadline, incidentally, is Saturday, 31st of August. It says 6:30 there. I think that's 11:30 GMT for all you guys in the UK, and that's 6:30 Eastern time for us here in Canada. So good luck, guys. Let me know about your crazy predictions for game week 4. Pop them in the comment section. I'll pull out the best one and we'll take a look at it in game week 5. International break next, so you might not see me for a couple of weeks. The 6 Picks contest starts. I'll kick that off tomorrow. I haven't even looked at the scores yet, but we definitely have an outright winner, I believe. Good stuff. Take care and good luck with your transfer decisions this week. Let me know about them in the comment section, and if you have any dilemmas too, let me know about them also.